Hi guys, welcome to my channel God Nod, where God may just nod for you. If you haven't already checked out my social media pages, I have a Facebook and an Instagram titled God Nod. So if you want to get the latest updates with the videos and just be part of the God Nod community, go ahead and like and follow those accounts. Today, I just want to be completely honest and real with you guys about where I'm at spiritually. And I know sometimes I can come off as like this simple, perfect girl who has faith all figured out, which is completely wrong and false, and it's a constant challenge and struggle for me every day to grow in faith. So I just want to be honest and real with you guys about where I'm at spiritually. And right now, I'm in kind of a hole. Like, I feel a little bit distant from God, and part of that is because moving back to college and starting school and soccer and my busy schedule, it's been hard to fit God into my everyday life. And yeah, I've been fitting him in and praying and going to mass, but it's been more of just going through the motions rather than intentionally giving my whole day to God. There could be many reasons why I feel this distance from God, but this is what I think God has been revealing to me about my personal situation, is the fact that I keep thinking that I have to fix this distance. How I'm trying to fix this distance myself is I keep trying to fill my day with more prayers and more reading the Bible or going to mass more and trying to just fill my day with all of these holy things, and it's just kind of crowding my day. I just keep trying to have a checklist of all of these things I need to do, and I keep thinking if I can just do this or pray this more, then I'll finally fix this distance that I feel from God. Especially within the Catholic Church, we have so many great resources like novenas and chaplets and rosaries and mass and all of these things that are meant to help us get closer to God. But with all of these great resources, it can be very easy to be overloaded by them and fall into the routine of doing them, and by doing that, just get caught up in going through the motions instead of seeking him with our heart, soul, and mind. What I just described right there, that's basically me right now. I just keep trying to fill my day with all of these holy things so that I can fix this distance that I feel from God, but in reality, God wants to fix this distance that I feel. He doesn't really mind about how many holy things I put in my day. What he cares about is if I give my heart to him that day. And while praying the other day, I kind of had this image come to mind. And it's this image of this mountain that's impossible to climb. And I just keep trying to climb and climb and climb, but I can't get it. And then finally, God has his hand up there, offering his hand to me to just pull me up. But I just keep saying, no, I got it, I'll get it. And so, that's kind of how I am spiritually right now. And it's me trying to climb this mountain and trying to fill this hole that only God can fill. One of the root things behind all of this is just my pride. My pride is what is keeping me from just allowing God to love me. I need to stop looking at my faith as a checklist. If I do all these things, then I'll get this, and start looking at it as, Lord, I give you my heart. I just want to be with you and revolve my day around you. Sometimes we can be in this mode in our spiritual life without us even noticing it. We can be going through the motions and not even realizing that we're not growing in our relationship with God. And that was me for a while, until God was just banging on my heart, come on, Casey, you gotta look at this. And he did this in 4 different ways. The first one was through confession. I went to confession, and the priest, after I confessed all my sins, he basically told me I need a bigger prayer life. I need to spend more time with God. And then he started just going on a roll expressing God's love for me. He said, let God love you. Allow God to love you. Count the amount of air molecules that you've ever breathed in, or count the rays of sun that have touched your face, because God knows, and God has counted them before. That's how much he knows you. He loves you so much, and he will always love you more and never less. So here I am trying to figure this all out myself and do all of these things, when in reality, I just need to sit down, be still, and let God make himself known to me, and just let God love me. Another way God revealed this to me was at Mass. I was at Mass, and I like to bring my Magnificat, which has all the daily readings in it, and I like to write things down because I'm a writer. And after Mass, a sister stopped me, and she said, hey, I noticed you write things down during Mass. And then she looked at me all intently, and she was like, just make sure not to be too academic. Make sure you're more focused on God. At first, when she told me this, I was just kind of oh, okay, or whatever. But then as I was praying, this kind of came to my mind because I was kind of bothered by it. And as I was praying, I just realized, you know what, maybe she has a point here. Maybe I'm focusing too much on the academic side and books and all of these different things rather than just focusing on my relationship with God. Another way was through a priest's homily, and he told us a story about this little boy and his father. The father tried to occupy his son with something, and so he went to a magazine and he tore a page out that had the world on it, a map of the world, and he tore it all up in little pieces, and he gave it to his son, and he said, okay, if you can piece this together and fit this puzzle together, I'll give you $20. And then the father goes away, and this little boy was all determined, but then he realized he's never seen a map before. He doesn't know how this goes together. But then he decided to flip all of the little pieces over, and he realized that all of the little pieces on the back side made this human person. And he goes, okay, I know what a human person looks like. I can put this human person together, and then I can tape it up, and then if I flip it over, maybe it'll be the world. And so he did this, and he pieced this puzzle together, and he showed his dad, and his dad was like, how did you do this? And the son showed him, like, I pieced together this person, I know the person, and so if I know the person, I can get the world right. I think this story shows such a great example on if we get the person of Jesus right, if we have that relationship with him, all of the teachings and all of our prayers, all of that will come together. And the last way that God revealed this to me was actually today when I was reading my meditation in my book. And this meditation is by Pope Benedict XVI. And it says, rebellion, doing it oneself, building a better world, is not the last cry of reason, but that on the contrary, the person who rebels and insists on doing it all by himself or herself is the person who does not understand and does not perceive who he or she is and what the world is. And so this really spoke to me, okay, Casey, you are trying to do this all by yourself, and this is totally calling you out on it. So instead of me trying to do everything by myself, I just need to let God do it and let him love me. And one way to do this is by sitting in silence with him. There's an author named Matthew Kelly who has this quote that says, you can learn more in an hour of silence than you can in a year of reading books. And I have found this statement so true, because whenever I'm able to just to sit there in silence, I hear God speak to my heart so clearly. Whereas if I'm just trying to read through all these books, I'm going to read it and I might forget a whole lot, but I don't forget when God speaks to my heart in that silence. And that can be hard because you might be sitting there thinking, this is a waste of my time, I'm not actually doing anything, I'm not hearing anything, I'm not praying, I'm not whatever. But know that no silence or no prayer is any waste of time, that God hears it all. And I know I got caught up in this because in this past summer I had all of these books I wanted to read just to grow in relationship with God and gain all this knowledge, but God taught me a different lesson. He taught me that he wanted me to spend time with him by spending quality time with other people and sacrificing my time for others, and that is the way he was going to love me. As you can see, this is something that I'm struggling with right now and continue to struggle with from time to time, and I just want you to know that it's okay if you're in this state as well, and don't be too frustrated because God can pull you in really, really quickly. But what we need to do is just to fall in love with God every day, just re-fall in love with him. And that might kind of sound overbearing, and how do we do that? But basically the simple answer is just to revolve our entire day around him and give just every day into his hands. And I think it all starts from desiring it. We have to desire God if we want him to fill us. And I think it's important to pray, God, can you please give me the graces to desire you more? And perhaps by praying this and trying to revolve your day around him and just sitting in silence with him, he will fill that hole that you have in your relationship with him, that he will just close that gap and that distance that you have in your relationship. I want to share one last thing, and it is this prayer card to St. Augustine. And I'm just going to read it to you because it's so beautiful. It says, O God of truth, grant me the happiness of heaven, so that my joy may be fully in accord with your promise. In the meantime, let my mind dwell on that happiness, my tongue speak of it, my heart pine for it, my mouth pronounce it, my soul hunger for it, my flesh thirst for it, and my entire being desire it, until I enter through death into the joy of my Lord forever. So yeah, what an awesome prayer by St. Augustine, just to have God fully encompass you with that joy that he has and wants to overflow you with. And a quote I want to leave you guys off with was told to me by a priest, and he said, there's no such thing as a sad saint. And I kind of like to think about this whenever I feel too burdened by worrying about something and it gets to the point of bringing me sadness throughout my day, because I think, okay, Casey, there's no such thing as a sad saint. So if I just knew how much God loved me, I would trust in Him so much that I would not be worried about this and it would not bring me to the point of making me sad. So remember that there's no such thing as a sad saint, and rely on God to fill you with that joy. From this God Nod, I hope it inspires you to change your day to revolve around God and to make sure it is about the person Jesus and not so much the checklist of holy things you have to do in that day. To grow in your relationship with God and to remember that these holy things that you do, they're meant to build your relationship with Him and not overburden you. I also want to leave you guys off with a challenge to start small and try to spend at least 5 minutes every day in silence and see the fruit that God blesses with you from it. Thank you guys for watching.